calibrated scale. Oh my God, it has to be so accurate. Oh, the scale was off by a half a pound. Oh, it's not accurate. This is BS. It doesn't even make sense. Coach Greg, in today's video, Larry Wheels gets his official body fat percent measured by doing hydrostatic weighing. Now, you may or may not know, but Larry's within 1 week of competing for his IFBB Pro card. The guy is shredded. However, he still has a little fat to lose. In particular, the abdominals, they're not as detailed as they could be. The glutes, they're not etched in, as in some of the pros are much leaner. And the hamstrings, calves, they could be a lot leaner. Quads in the front, they are separated, but they're not cross-threaded yet. And so, in my opinion, he has 2, maybe 3 weeks of hard dieting before being truly peeled. And based on my visual, I would say he's perhaps close to 6% body fat. Not below 5, but probably below 6%. Larry Wheels does have a lot of muscle. And approximately the leanest anyone can get, 3%, you're on your deathbed, and 4%, absolutely mind-blowing. For example, Chris Bumstead probably approached 4% body fat.
I wonder what the lowest body fat you have recorded.
This would be this right here.
And so the lowest body fat they've ever recorded at this place, right here, right now, Larry Wheels. And so find out just how lean is Larry Wheels. Is he in fact going to be leaner than Tristan Lee? Remember, Tristan Lee clocked in at 4.4% body fat.
We're going to do the hydrostatic weighing today. What we're going to first do, a couple of the procedures first, is I'm going to take Larry's height, also his weight.
And so first things first, as soon as you need to calibrate height and weight, you know there's going to be a margin of error. Why would it matter if he's 6'1" versus 6'0"? Larry could be 6'1", 240 pounds of muscle, or he could be 5'1", 240 pounds of muscle. Why does it matter his height? And so please remember this, there are always margins of error, and these are simply guesses. It's not like an MRI scan, which is the golden standard of body fat testing. You thought I was going to say Coach Greg's laser eyes, or perhaps the DEXA scan. The DEXA scan is horrible. It's not that good. Very large margins of error. My personal opinion is I prefer the hydrostatic underwater weighing test over even the DEXA scan. I've seen countless DEXA scans that were far, far off, approximately off by 15%. That is huge.
This has recently been calibrated as well. That's really important. Calibration and it being accurate is huge, as you guys know.
And so it's not really all that huge. If he's 240 pounds or 237 pounds, it's not going to make a lick of difference in terms of his body fat percentage. It's not going to be like, oh, you're 240, therefore your body fat was 6%. Oh, you're only 237? Oh, it's 3%. It's not going to make a lick of difference. It's not even going to make a 0.1% difference. And so calibrated scale, oh my God, it has to be so accurate. Oh, the scale was off by a half a pound. Oh, it's not accurate. This is BS. It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Well, all you need to be, to make weight for classic division and be 232, you have to be just over 6'1". Then you're in the 6'1" to 6'2" class. So I'm good.
And so one thing that's really important to understand is that you're always taller in the morning than you are at night. And so I know the weigh-in is at 4 p.m. And so although Larry may in fact be 6'1" in the morning, if he in fact shrinks 1/4 of an inch, he might height in below 6'1". And if he does, he has to weigh 224 pounds. And so imagine the devastation if he heights in and they say, sorry, you're not tall enough. Wish you was a little bit taller. Wish you were a baller, but you're not. You're only 6 foot and 7/8. And so hopefully Larry Wheels can height in at 6'1", because I know when you're dehydrated, spinal compression, walking around throughout the day, it can actually make you shorter. And so height in day, Larry should be laying down flat as often as possible, not compressing his spine.
Get acclimated to the water. The water's 92 Fahrenheit, so it's like a bath water.
Ooh, lovely.
92 degrees Fahrenheit, that's almost as warm as my pool. I gotta go get myself some body fat testing done.
We have to make sure he's going to be in the tank. I'm going to pass him this weight, and the weight says 4.1 kilograms. So when it calibrates, again, just like the weighing scale, we just want to make sure it's accurate. So we're going to calibrate the platform before you sit down.
And so what she doesn't explain is the reason they do that is because not everyone sinks. Fat floats. It has a density far lower than water. Muscle, it's more dense and it sinks. And so oftentimes when doing hydrostatic water weighing, of which I did in university, remember I'm trained to do this, we had to use the brick because there was the only way we could actually weigh them. Imagine you blow out your air and you're sitting there and you're not sinking. You weigh negative weight. You're not sinking. And so some people, especially those who are morbidly obese, they don't sink. And so that is the purpose of the weight. The more you know.
Coach Greg.
Now, this is the most important part of the testing. The more you can expel all your air, the more accurate this test is going to be.
And so a big problem when I was testing people in university was they were very scared to blow out all their air. Think of it. You're underwater. It's not comfortable to go and continue to blow out all your air. That every little bit of oxygen, it's going to make you float. Just think of it. When you blow up an air mattress and it floats, you're putting in air into that mattress. That's why it's floating. Air, not very dense. It's air. And so the more air you can expel, the more you're going to weigh. Now, one thing they don't consider is there's always air in your body. In your colon, your intestine. You guys, sometimes you fart. That's air. That's gas. The more gas you have, the more you're going to float. And so the formula to use does predict there's some level of oxygen in the body. The more air in your body that's remaining, the more it's going to overestimate your body fat percentage. The fewer amounts of oxygen, the more it's going to underestimate your body fat percentage. And this can be changed from your diet, what you're eating, or if you're not eating carbs whatsoever. Somebody on a ketogenic diet, low in carbs, fiber, etc., going to have a lower body fat percentage than somebody who's eating a ton of carbs, fiber, fruits, vegetables, and so on. Does that make sense? All this fruits, vegetables, fiber, and so on, it's adding bulk to your body, air, gas, etc., and it's causing you to float. It's making you weigh less, therefore increasing your estimated body fat percentage. The more you know again.
Coach Greg.
I mean, the tank is not deep enough. I can see the top of his head out. You need to be completely submerged. You can't have your feet touching the ground or else you're floating. I mean, this is only as accurate as the testing being done. Hydrostatic weighing is how much does your body weigh underwater? And it compares that value to the density of water, density of fat, density of muscle, and it makes an estimate of how much muscle do you actually have in comparison to fat, and it gives you your body fat percentage. But remember, this can be fooled, it can be tricked. When you're on a keto diet, not eating a lot of carbs, you're dehydrated, it's going to guess and make it look like you're leaner than you actually are.
Why, how that makes a difference? It had you at 11%, which I know is not the case, and now you're at 4.2, so.
Holy crap, 4.2.
So these are just tests, right? Like these first two, it's like, that was from 11 to 4.
And so in the first test, he was at 11% body fat, and now he's at 4.2. Do you see how easy it is to fool these tests? One small error mistake that perhaps the tester didn't notice, and Larry could have walked out thinking he was at 11% body fat. Small, little mistake, and it's not accurate. Well, if he can get his head underwater and expel even more air, he's going to be even heavier. The heavier he gets, the lower it's going to be. Is he going to be negative 0.33% body fat like Ronnie Coleman? Well, let's see. Let's stay tuned to find out. Remember, I've never watched this video. This is the first time watching it. Watch it at the first several seconds after it came out. And if you don't believe me, we're at 4 minutes here into this video. And I was quite literally doing a video on Larry Wheels before this one came out. I was doing a video on Larry Wheels getting ready for Olympia. Then this came out. Bam, I'm doing 2 videos back to back.
One more thing. If you could stay maybe under, because I'm still seeing some bubbles come out at the very end.
Okay.
If you can try to hold it, which I know you can, like 5 more seconds.
And so do you believe me that I know how to do these tests? Do you believe I've ever done this before? Clearly say, hell, he didn't blow out his air long enough. His head is not underneath. I notice these small errors. And so imagine you're doing body fat testing and this is your first day on the job. Let's say you just learned how to do this. Do you really think you can trust that person? Do you understand how small differences in testing can make a significant difference? Or when you do body fat testing, depends. If you pinch their body fat, you pinch here. That is body fat. If you pinch there, that is muscle. Big difference between pinching like this and pinching like that. But yet in university, when I was getting my body fat testing done on testing day, someone literally did this. I'm thinking, are you kidding me? This is what kinesiologists are going into the world? Someone that can't tell the difference between muscle and fat, but yet they passed. Yay! Everybody gets a ribbon. It's university. Remember, this was in like 1642. Imagine how much easier it is now.
Woo! Rocked it. Nice.
4.3.
Fat percentage 4.3. Lung volume 1.83 liters. Required data. How do we know his lung volume was 1.83 liters? You ever think of that? I didn't see that in this video. It's required and it says 1.83 liters. Are they doing this based on his height? Are they saying because you're 6'1" and they type it in, they say the average person's lung volume is 1.83 meters? I don't know. I can't answer that. And so clearly it makes a difference. How much air is your lungs? How big your lungs are? Your lung capacity, etc. How much can you expel all your air? These can make huge differences. Also, bone density varies from person to person. Even African American versus Caucasian male, you can have differences in bone density. Somebody with bones that are more dense, they're going to be heavier. That is going to skew the results to make you even leaner.
We have to take the averages out of that 11.1 because it throws off his average. Yeah.
And so she took out the 11% body fat and took the average of the rest. I mean, why not just take the best number? Why are we taking the average of all the tests? Should we not test him at his best? If he was not comfortable expelling all his air, why are we factoring in those values? And so it said 3.7, 3.8, 3.6. And so clearly Larry Wheels, according to this test, below 4% body fat. But guess what? I don't believe it. Do you really think that Larry Wheels only has 0.6% body fat left to lose? That if he lost 0.6%, he'd perhaps be dead?
If you want to be at 4% body fat, be prepared to eat nothing but grilled chicken, with no sodium, with no fats, with no carbs.
And so Larry says if you want to be at 4% body fat, be prepared to eat only bland chicken, boring, no salt, no carbs, etc. 1,000 calories a day, 45 minutes of cardio. Or just lose weight slowly. You don't have to do anything specific to get to 4% body fat, but what you need to do is to be in a calorie deficit. Whether it happens fast or slow, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter!
The greater the deficit, the more you're going to lose. The problem is the greater the deficit, the more muscle you're going to lose. And so Larry Wheels says he was expecting it to be 7 to 8%, but it came in at 4% body fat. Remember, that is the average. He was actually 3.6 once he expelled his air, and his head was below the surface. She should have taken the lowest number, and so Larry Wheels, according to this test, in my opinion, 3.6 to 3.8%. I do believe he's closer to 5.8%, so he's off by a couple of percentage points. But remember, every percent is significantly harder. Larry Wheels says, diet the first 2 weeks, not all that bad. Middle, it's all right. Last 2 weeks, kind of exciting, it's a little hard. Imagine you had to do this for 2 more weeks. Continue to diet week after week, getting more and more shredded. That is when it truly gets difficult. Every percent leaner gets exponentially harder. Now, one thing I want you to understand is these things are only so accurate. Larry Wheels could go off his diet, bulk up, and perhaps in a week from now, only go up 0.5% body fat, but be up 20 pounds. The machine would say, wow, you put on about 15 to 20 pounds of muscle in a week. But was it actually muscle? Or was it water glycogen? We don't know. So remember, these devices are simply estimates. Same as skin fold, caliper tests, DEXA scans. These are estimates of your body fat percentage. Don't make that number value your self-worth. Larry Wheels knows that despite the fact it's perhaps below 4% body fat, he could still be leaner. He knows this in his mind. He's probably 7 or 8%. And so if Larry Wheels said, hey, Coach Greg, laser eyes, what do you think I am? Perhaps he's in the 5s. He's certainly not below 4% body fat. Doesn't mean he's not dieting hard enough. Doesn't mean he doesn't look good, but certainly he has more body fat to lose if his goal is to be the most shredded bodybuilder on stage.
Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you, Lorraine.
Absolutely.
And so let me know in the comment section, do you believe that Larry Wheels is sub 4% body fat? Do you think the testers got it right? Do you think he's closer to 7, 8% as Larry suggested? Or do you think he's somewhere where I suggested? Remember, these are just estimate. We're just having fun. Hopefully you learned something. And if you're looking for supplements like G-Test or Ecti Builder, or of course the Seco protein bars, they taste absolutely amazing. Look no further than my website, code Greg, 10% off. We have everything you can imagine from pre-workout stim, non-stim. We have protein powders, creatine, beta-alanine, G-Test, G-Focus, Delta Sleep. The list goes on and on. Head over to my website, code Greg, 10% off. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost that algorithm, and like the video if you liked it. Watch one of those 2 bloops right over there. And of course, the cookbooks, Circle Diet Book, the Harder Than Last Time clothing line, as well as coaching plans by me and my team. Everything on my website. Code Greg, 10% off. And until next time, I am out.